Good morning, friends. I'm Pastor Deborah, and I'm so excited to see you. I want to invite you to join me in singing this opening song and lighting our candles together. And again, you can hold up your finger as your light if you don't have a candle that you can light with fire. So, I'm going to light my candle, and then we're going to sing. Boom, 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 now we sing. Light one candle for love, one bright candle for love. God brings love to every heart. God's here, God's near. Light one candle for joy, one bright candle for joy. God brings joy to every heart. God's here, God's near. Light one candle for peace, one bright candle for peace. God brings peace to every heart. God's here, God's near. Good morning, friends. I'm so glad to see you. I hope that you have enjoyed some of the snow and ice. I know it wasn't much, but it's been a little bit to play with. And pretty seeing it on the trees and the plants and everything around us. I hope that you enjoy getting to play in it. And I always love bundling up in all of my scarves and gloves and hats and getting to go and go outside in the cold. It's fun. I think it's fun, even if there's just a little snow or ice to play in. But welcome to our chapel story this week. And our chapel story is a fun one that I hope you'll enjoy. So, have you ever seen a little tiny mouse? Little teeny tiny mouse? They're so small you can hold them in one hand. Although your hands are tiny, so you might need two hands, but they're so tiny and delicate and sweet, and they can get in little tiny places. And they have sharp teeth, right? And big ears so they can hear. Have you ever seen a lion? A big lion with a big furry mane and a long tail with the furry thing on the end. They have giant paws that could probably cover my whole face. And when they roar, they make a loud noise. And they're beautiful and majestic. And they are caring towards their friends and family, but they can also be very scary and dangerous. They have very big teeth, right? So our story today is about a little mouse and a big lion. And they live in the forest together. And the little mouse stays way away from the lion because the little mouse does not want to get hurt by the big lion. Little mouse runs around and scrambles around in little corners and hiding under little trees and stumps and plants and bushes, getting all of the things it needs and getting its exercise and playing with its nice friends. The big lion walks around like the king, knowing that no one can hurt him and he is in charge, and that he says what happens in the forest. One day, the little mouse gets distracted, and he's running along, and he goes to grab something that he thinks will be a delicious morsel to eat, and boom, down comes the lion's paw on his tail. And the lion lifts up the little mouse by his tail and looks at him and says, "Oh, you will make a great snack." And the mouse says, "Oh no, please, Mr. Lion, don't eat me. Please don't eat me." And the lion says, "Oh, why wouldn't I?" And the mouse says, I promise you that I will help you. If you don't eat me, I promise I'll help you. I can help you sometime." And the lion thought, what could you possibly do to help me? And the lion laughed and laughed, and the little mouse said, "I promise. I know I can help you. I know I can." And the lion was so tickled by this thought that this little mouse could help him that he started laughing and let the little mouse go. The lion, oh, he was so tickled, thought that was the funniest thing ever. How could a mouse help him, the king, the one who does all things, who is in charge of all things, who is big and mighty and needs help from no one? Little Mouse scurried off on his way. And several days went by, and weeks, and the lion was walking along, as he does. And then, boom, out of nowhere, a net comes up around him, and he finds himself hanging in a tree in a net, and he cannot get out. And he struggles and tries to use his big paws and his strength to get out, and the more he struggles, the more twisted up and knotted up he gets in the net. He is trapped. He is stuck. He cannot get free. Guess what? Along comes the little mouse. Little Mouse looks up and says, "Oh my. Why, what happened, Mr. Lion?" The lion says, "I am stuck. I am trapped in this net. Please help me." And the little mouse said, "Me help you? How could I possibly help you?" And the lion said, please help me. I'm sure you can shoo me free or something." The little mouse runs up the little net, up the tree, and up to the little ropes in the net and starts gnawing. And gnaws and gnaws and gnaws and chews the net until, boom, the lion falls free. The lion brushes himself off and says, "Rrr," and is off on his way. And little Mouse scurries off on his way, excited and proud that he was able to help the giant lion who needs no one's help. I bet you've probably heard this story before. I know I love this story, and I've heard it a lot. But can you imagine what it's like to be the big lion who feels like no one can help them? I bet it's kind of lonely. Wouldn't it be lonely? And can you imagine being the little mouse and how good he felt when he got to help the lion? I love this story because it reminds me that we need each other, that all of us, no matter how big or small, can help each other and have great things we can do to help other people, and that no matter how big or amazing or strong we are, we always need help, and we need each other. So I hope that you remember that everybody needs help, that everybody can be a helper, and it doesn't matter how old or how strong or how small or weak or young or anything that you are. We can be helpers, and we need help, and we need each other. That's how God made us, to be together, helping each other in community. Will you pray with me? Dear God, thank you for this beautiful day. Thank you for my friends. Thank you for my family. Thank you for my teachers. Thank you for all the helpers. Dear God, please remind me that I can ask for help. And please remind me that I can be a helper. Help us all help each other and love each other and be kind to each other. Thank you, God, for loving us and helping us and giving us a whole big world where we can be helped by each other and help each other. Amen. Thank you, friends. Have a great day, and I love seeing you out on the playground. Now we'll sing some songs. All right, the song we're going to sing is called God's Love is Deep and Wide. God's love is deep and wide. It's so deep and so wide and so big we can't contain it, like a giant waterfall that goes on and on and on. God's love is flowing in all the world. All right? Now, there's some special hand motions things we do with this song. Are you ready? All right, you can follow along with me. Because sometimes we're going to stop saying some of the words and go, instead of saying the words, so you have to listen. God's love is deep and wide, deep and wide. It's a fountain flowing deep and wide. Deep and wide, deep and wide. It's a fountain flowing deep and wide. God's love is and wide, and wide. It's a fountain flowing and wide. And wide, and wide. It's a fountain flowing and wide. God's love is and it's a fountain flowing and God's love is and it's a fountain flowing and God's love is and it's a and God's love is and it's a and now we put all the words back. God's love is deep and wide, deep and wide. It's a fountain flowing deep and wide. God's love is deep and wide, deep and wide. It's a fountain flowing deep and wide. Well, thank you, my friends. All right, well, we'll sing another song, and I bet you probably know this song because we've sung it before, but I hope you enjoy it. So we're going to sing the song about God's got the whole world in his hands, and God has everything. And I always like to imagine all of the things around us. I look at the mountains, and it's like God's arms around us, and I see the people, and it's pieces of God loving us. I see the animals, and it's parts of God coming up to cheer us up and share joy with us. Everything is from God. So, God's got the whole world in his hands. He's got the whole world in his hands. God's got the whole world in his hands. He's got the whole world in his hands. God's got you and me in his hands. Got you and me in his hands. God's got you and me in his hands. Got the whole world in his hands. God's got the little bitty kitties in his hands. Got the little bitty kitties in his hands. God's got little bitty kitties in his hands. Got the whole world in his hands. God's got the big scary lions in his hands. God's got the big scary lions in his hands. God's got the big scary lions in his hands. He's got the whole world in his hands. God's got all the trees in his hands. God's got all the trees in his hands. God's got all the trees in his hands. He's got the whole world in his hands. God's got the itty bitty babies in his hands. Got the itty bitty babies in his hands. God's got the itty bitty babies in his hands. Got the whole world in his hands. We can make up anything we want to go with that song and have it go on as long as we want, and you can say anything you want. So you can sing it when you're with your friends or at home or with your parents or anybody. And that's fun because we can add whatever we want because God's got everything in the world under God's care and loving and caring and watching over it. So now, if you're ready, we'll do our goodbye song. And now we're going to say our goodbye song. And we'll put out our candles. So I'm going to put out each of the candles, and then I'm going to say the goodbye song. We're going to sing it together. Now we sing. We leave with a song to take on our way, on our way, on our way. We leave with a song to take on our way, to sing to others each day. We leave with a song to take on our way, on our way, on our way. We leave with God's love to take on our way, to share with others each day. All right, friends, have a great week. Say hi to Chama when you see him on the playground. Bye.